Gutenberg gave us our first printed Bibles ever in 1452. Now, before 1452, there was only about 100,000 books in total in the Western world, which could fit inside only one of our public libraries today. Now, why were there so little books? Well, back then, all books were handwritten manuscripts written by scribes and scriptoriums, but they were very few and far in between and very expensive, so only the nobility, clergy, and scholars really had access to them, leaving the common people not very literate and not very well educated. Now, it would take about 3 years just to handwrite one Bible, averaging a page about every other day. But this is before the times of erasers and whiteout, so even if you messed up once, even in the last sentence of a page, you'd have to crumble it up, toss it out, and start all over again. However, in Germany, in the early 1450s, the Gutenberg Printing Press came along, as well as Gutenberg's movable type, and things changed forever. In the same amount of time it would take to handwrite one Bible, the press could make 180 of them. In just 50 years, we went from 100,000 books in the Western world all the way up to 1.1 million. And of course, it's only been growing ever since. Now, how would you work a press like this? Well, the first thing you'd have to do is set up your type here inside of this drawer called the casket. Now, setting up a page of type could take 6 to 8 hours to complete because every single letter, bit of punctuation, every space had to be set one at a time in Latin, backwards, all by hand. So once that was complete, you would go ahead and take your ink. Gutenberg's ink was the world's first smudge-resistant ink and a top-secret recipe at the time. Today we know linseed oil, turpentine, and carbon are some of the key ingredients. To apply this ink, you would take ink blotters like these. You would simply take these, dip them in ink, roll them together like this, and then blot on top of your type. I like to use a later invention that came a couple hundred years after this period, which is the ink roller. So I'll take my ink roller, roll it in my ink, and then roll my ink here on top of my type, making sure every single letter has a nice coating. Now, once that's done, I'll need my paper, and the paper is kept here inside of an apparatus called a frisket. On the inside, I have many pieces of paper held together in the same place to help with consistency. Then, I'll lay the frisket on top of the casket, roll it underneath our pressure point here called the platen, and simply pull the lever. When I do this, it works like a large stamp, pressing the page on top of the type, transferring the ink. So now, when I roll this out, I have 1 Samuel chapter 25 in Latin, just like you would see in a Gutenberg Bible. Now, this looks a little bit plain right now, but once all the pages of the Bible were completed and sold to a family, those families could hire an artist to come in and illuminate or personalize their pages, like you see here on the edge. Now, with this, you could add calligraphy, border art, whatever the family would really want in beautiful colored ink. Now, this means every single Gutenberg Bible, all 180 of them, are completely unique from each other because they're all filled with different art. Now, there's only about 20 full Gutenberg Bibles left today and about 15 fragments across the world. We are very lucky to have a page of a Gutenberg Bible here in the museum up on the 4th floor. And there's a full Gutenberg Bible at the Library of Congress here in town. So if you're here for a while, check that out as well. Now, is there any questions I can answer for you all? No? Well, then I'll leave you with this. At the end of a long day of printing, you would have to store your type to make sure it stayed in good condition. You would keep the type in a type case. All the capital letters would go in the upper part of the case, and all the other letters would go in the lower part of the case. This is where we got the terms uppercase and lowercase letters. A little fun fact to share with your friends and family. Now, if you don't have any more questions, feel free to go back to browsing the museum. I hope you learned something new. If any questions arise, feel free to come back and find